And I think another thing that that I've observed is, if you'd asked us 3 months ago, 4 months ago, would you make all this investment in remote working, upgrading your bandwidth, learning to use all these new tools, operating remotely, giving people a lot more leeway because you can't be sitting on top of them all the time. I mean, it's whether you wanted to or not, you're not going to be able to control a workforce that's largely remote. And we all would have said, yeah. Well, of course, that's important. We'll get to that, right? And I think what's happened in the interim is we've now all been shoved into having made a whole series of investments, both of time and of money and of learning in all these new technologies. And I don't think we're going to give up on those investments just because it's no longer a crisis. I think we are learning a whole lot of new ways of being and interacting with each other that just weren't possible before. So I don't see us kind of throwing that into reverse and saying, okay, we're going to go back to being cogs in some sort of bureaucratic wheel again. Another thing that I think is kind of interesting is if you think about the kind of work you do, the kind of work I do, how do you see those kinds of venture design or venture activity translating into a virtual format if you can't physically be with people for another 30 days?
I mean, we're learning this. I mean, one of our number one goals is to create, for obvious reasons, like remote growth as a superpower. Like, I think everybody has to learn. I mean, there are basic things like I think you got to show up and we say, everyone says lead with empathy. It's an important thing, but you got to show up with safety and kindness in a way that is really extraordinary right now. All the ambience things and permission you have to be rad can and direct just doesn't really work in the same way because you don't have emotional and physical safety. So how you lead is really important. The venture stuff, remote growth, if I look at a lot of startups successfully build companies remotely. I think there's it's an absolute myth that you have to be together always to be a good culture and a good community and stuff. In fact, my commute in New York City every day when I drive, because it's my only alone time, takes me 2.5, 3 hours a day. And that's 90,000 calories a year of exercise that I lose. That makes me better, happier, stronger. It's time, it's just time. So I think the question of can we grow remotely, I think is going to become not as big an issue, which was going to affect commercial real estate and other things. So not to get the whole prediction path, but I don't look at the venturing model as getting too disrupted because if there's any one group in the world that's supposed to be the most adaptable, supposed to be most flexible, supposed to be so resilient, if they can't get over working from home and getting more time back to think, work, and be healthier, we're all dead. So I think it's just will be a greater adoption of both mindset, mechanics, and systems to create growth than ever before. Yeah, it can be done. It's the final nail in the coffin from casual Fridays to distance success.
And we learned it can be done. So, I mean, there are a lot of entrepreneurs, who said, hey, we've had a month of this. It's kind of working out. Why do I need to be spending $10 million on San Francisco real estate? Seriously, why?
I say that having we just built a beautiful new space in New York in this last year and a half. We've always had, and so experience is a huge part of this. And so we feel it. So I'm with you on that. We value it. It's so important to find things. The question is how much of it. Being together, being a physical environment that curates and cultivates, that's vital. The question is to what degree does it affect, is the return on that valuable?